Hi everybody, welcome back to NYSE and theCUBE's Media Week. This is Cyber and AI Innovators. My name is Dave Vellante. John Ferrer is also here. We're high above the trading floor of the New York Stock Exchange. And we're super excited to have Yotam Segev here. He's the co-founder and CEO of Cyera. Another cyber security innovator. Great to see you, man. Thanks for coming in. What do you think about this awesome setup we have here?
Pretty cool setup up here, sitting on top of the world's economy.
Yeah, exactly right. Okay, so I got to start with, why did you start the company, you and your co-founders?
We started the company because we had our own personal experience building a business that was very sensitive in cloud, and realizing that the way that you protect what matters most, which is data, information, in this new world that is the cloud world, it's not the same as what we used to do. We used to lock data up in a vault, we used to detach it from the internet, and once you're moving to the cloud and you're adopting all of these wonderful technologies that allow us to leverage data so well and allow us to build AI, you have to look for new approaches in order to be able to do that. And if you don't do that, you're going to find yourself in a big problem where your most valuable assets are compromised.
You know, it's funny, when the cloud first came out, it was startups that leaned into the cloud. A lot of the traditional enterprises, like in the financial services world, said, no, we're not going to go to the cloud. Turned out that the cloud service providers, AWS in particular, had great security for their little part of the world. And then all of a sudden, there's this shared responsibility model, there's all these tools, there's APIs, there's this burgeoning ecosystem, and then the first line of defense just became kind of like Swiss cheese. And so this is the problem that you guys set out to solve. So very interesting. Now, I have a note here that you are the world's fastest growing data security company.
Indeed we are.
Okay, so I said I was going to push you a little bit on this. So that means you're either growing really fast, which I'm sure you are, but you could be really small, right? If you're $2 growing to $500, wow, that's amazing growth. But so you have to add some context to that.
Yeah, so I think right now Cyera is on path to cross 100 million ARR next year.
Oh, that's substantial.
And the rate of growth is still 4x year over year. So that's incredible. We're seeing tremendous growth. And a lot of that is due to the urgency in this space for enterprises, for customers, and due to the product's ability to show value, be implemented, and deliver results in a very, very quick time frame, which can help move things quickly.
I mean, that's remarkable. When did you start the company?
We started the company 3.5 years ago.
Okay, 100 million ARR in 3.5 years. That's impressive. And that's especially that growth rate. To what do you attribute that growth?
So again, I think that the customer's urgency on this space could not be overstated. Everybody is looking to adopt AI. And when you think about AI, it runs on two things. It runs on GPUs, and we're all seeing NVIDIA's immense success in the markets building those GPUs, and it runs on data. Enterprises traditionally have not done a good job of managing data. I joke that if you ask people how good of a driver they are, on average they say they're about an 8. And if you ask people how good they manage and secure data in their enterprise, on average they're about a 2. So people just find it hard to believe that everybody else is as bad at it as they are. And that's the pain, because AI is really making data so important for the enterprise. Making it so crucial to know what you have, to control the access to it, because suddenly it's no longer stale permissions. Somebody can access something in SharePoint. Now you can write a little query in Copilot and get the answer immediately. And if you have access to that data became very accessible through the introduction of AI, and that's why it's becoming so urgent for customers.
Okay, so you disconnected the dots. I was trying to understand the connection between data and security. It's not just a privacy issue, it's access control. Correct?
Absolutely. When you think about the way people secure their company, what are we trying to secure? Two things in general. We're trying to secure the services we provide. Like if I put a credit card in the ATM and I ain't getting any cash, that's a problem. And everybody knows it's a problem. And we're trying to secure the information that these services aggregate and collect. So obviously the bank that has the ATM also has a lot of information about my financial transactions, my financial behaviors, my personal information. And that is becoming extremely valuable, both from a business monetization perspective, but also for hackers that are after it. Now, personal information, financial information is one example, but also intellectual property, right? Like trade secrets, manufacturing procedures and processes. These are the things that actually give companies their advantage in the market. And the need to protect that information, protect that data, is becoming more crucial than ever.
And even though we're talking about security, it does actually touch upon privacy and compliance and governance.
It does.
And organizations, especially in the financial services world, but certainly healthcare and government, highly regulated industries, they have to worry about this. It starts with security, but it touches other adjacencies, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and we're sitting here over the public markets. The SEC recently, over the last 6 months, put in their materiality reporting requirements in order to assess the materiality of a breach. Obviously, you need to be able to understand what data was impacted. Mm-hmm. That today takes companies on average 4 to 6 months. That's a very long time frame, which doesn't correspond to the intention of the materiality reporting, which is saying if you have an incident and it's material, you need to let us know quickly. You need to let the market know quickly. So companies have to change the way they deal with information, with data, in order to be able to answer these regulations like materiality reporting by the SEC.
Yeah, it's got to be real time speed. Okay, you got to tell me about this data industry story. You got the growth of data, you got risks associated with data, but there's two sides of that coin, because there's risks and there's opportunities. So
Absolutely.
What's your narrative around that?
So I think for our customers, right, like the biggest driver is generate more revenue. Right? Cyera can show us the data we have in our ecosystem better, faster, more accurate, more contextualized than any other product or any other partner in the market. That can service us to secure it, of course, but also to drive innovation, to get to market faster, to shorten the time it takes us to provision access to data within the company, to data scientists, to data analysts, to data consumers, and to essentially accelerate our AI adoption and our data transformation.
Now, I got to ask you about data security posture management. I asked you earlier, was that a Gartner term? They said it is now. You created this market, correct? Is that a correct claim, essentially? Or?
The problem existed traditionally, and people
explain the problem, and then how you guys stepped in and what role you've played.
The problem is really simple, right? Like we're all experiencing it in our own personal garage at home. Right? Like you start to amass stuff. That stuff can be, property, and it can be data. And after a certain point, you start to lose control. Right? I don't know, your own personal folders where you keep your personal information, family finances. At some point, there's just too much there.
Right.
And it happens pretty quickly on.
Right.
The same exact thing happens to enterprises. You start to amass information, generate information, and you don't have good practices in place for how to clean that information out. And at some point, you just lose control. You're drowned in the garbage you've accumulated. Some of that garbage is sensitive, valuable, needs to be reused. Some of it needs to go to the can. And it's very hard to differentiate between the data that matters and the data that clutters.
And it's tedious to get rid of it, and it's time consuming, and it's not really accurate. Humans aren't really good at that.
Yeah, and automating the distinction of what data is valuable, what data is important, what data is sensitive, that was the first step in DSPM, in data security posture management, creating visibility at the enterprise level to data. That's something that enterprises never had. They try to manually classify data. They try to query application owners about what data they're collecting in their application. But to actually create a sensor that is able to go and identify all the data in the enterprise automatically, at scale, and we're talking about incredible scale, right? And create that inventory of sensitive data, that's the foundation of DSPM that just didn't exist before Cyera.
Okay, so and talk to me about how you do this. You have this compound AI system, you're using machine learning, kind of legacy machine learning, we sometimes joke. NLP, so you'll be able to interact in natural language. You got statistical validation, so you're using, I guess, probabilistic math. regex, which I'm not sure exactly what that is. Explain all that cocktail of AI, if you will.
I think with every complicated problem in the world today, right, from an engineering perspective, the way that you can tackle it is not by, one magical LLM that solves all the problems, right?
This we know.
That just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So what happens is what we're calling compound AI. Right? Like this is a system that leverages LLMs and leverages NLP and leverages legacy machine learning and even leverages legacy regex pattern matching, which was a traditional way to identify data. But you have to build that with a lot of engineering into a compound system that's actually able to deliver on the use case you're solving. The use case we're solving is we want to be able to show our customers the data they have out there in a way that any analyst can consume without asking them what to look for. So without any prior knowledge of what we should be looking for. By doing that, we're able to shed light, right? Like to turn on the light on this weird intangible asset called data, the information itself that the enterprise is accumulating in so many places today, in the cloud, in Snowflake, in SharePoint, in on-prem file shares, in databases. It lives everywhere, on the endpoints. So that's our unique capability, that's our unique engineering prowess. You combine that with an agentless cloud-native architecture that allows us to scale across very large environments without any network connections. That allows us to really bring a game-changing capability into the market, and that's been a big part of our success with the top enterprises that really want to be able to scale this type of solution across a huge enterprise footprint.
So this compound AI system you have, it sounds like you're taking advantage of the combinatorial effects of these innovations. It's not just bespoke pieces that you put a veneer on, it's like a puzzle that fits together. Is that fair, or you understand where to apply the different innovations, and that's your IP?
That's absolutely right, and when you think about it, there's some technological building blocks that are good at a specific task. Some things are really good at identifying. Some things are really good at removing false positives. Some things can add context. And what engineering has to do is they have to bring all of those capabilities together into something that really, makes the plane take off.
How about SaaS security? We talked about cloud, we think of cloud infrastructure, but what about SaaS? I mean, there's so many Microsoft users out there. 365 it's ubiquitous.
Yeah.
They're pushing now co-pilots. Agents are going to create more problems. How should we think about securing this sort of new world in this era of agentic and of course SaaSification has taken hold for a decade plus. How should we think about that?
What we're seeing with our customers is that they are looking at DSPM, data security posture management, as their core capability for SaaS security. It's not that there aren't other things they need for SaaS security, but the core aspect of SaaS security today is what data are we putting into these SaaS ecosystems, whether it's SharePoint or ServiceNow or Snowflake or whatnot, and who's got access to that data. And those are two questions that are at the heart of DSPM and what we deliver for our customers. And that's why we're becoming a very important foundational solution for them for their SaaS security needs. Not only that, but the unique thing about the data lens is that we're able to unify the view and quantification of risk across such a myriad of systems. So you think about it, the customers don't care about the risks they have in SharePoint and the risks they have in Salesforce and the risks they have in ServiceNow. They just want to see the top 10 risks across the company and go after them. If 7 of them are in Salesforce, so be it, right? But they don't have a dedicated security team for each of these platforms, so they need to focus on the risks that matter the most, no matter what ecosystem they live in.
So you unify this, shine a light on it, and then how do I take action? Do you feed other systems that actually are systems of agency? Do you take certain actions? What's the next step?
So both of those methods are being leveraged by our customer base. Obviously, mature enterprises have many remediation workflows that they operate through, ticketing systems that they operate through, existing SOC and SOC workflows that they operate through, and we plug into all of those. But we also have automation capabilities within our platform on how to close the loop on these types of risks.
Now, you guys, you wrote a report on security posture management. I think around focus on adoption and challenges, and what did you learn from that study?
So I think we learned that this is a top priority for so many CISOs going into 2025. Like people feel like data is the frontier that they have to deal with now. AI is obviously a huge advent of that, but it's put it as a top priority for the majority of organizations out there, and they want to take action. I think the other thing that we've found is that this is actually a business enabler. CISOs have been telling me, and it's funny, they've been telling me, Yotam, most of the things we do, if I don't do them tomorrow, nobody knows, nobody cares. Right? Like we hunt for threats, we do all sorts of things that the business doesn't actually see. Right? Like, but when I start to provide them with this visibility to data, when I give that to my CIO, my CTO, my chief data officer, suddenly I'm a business enabler. Suddenly I'm giving them something they didn't have before, and it's becoming core to their businesses. So this is a service that is very tied to the business, and it's giving security leaders and CISOs the opportunity to take a step up and not only do something that's for security's sake, but use security to actually accelerate the business and accelerate the revenue for their enterprise.
It makes sense. If you can show strong security posture management for a new platform, you can roll that out more quickly. It gets past all the security and compliance issues. Yotam, we got to run. Thanks so much for coming on theCUBE.
Thank you,
Good luck
David.
with everything. Loved having you. Thank you. All right, keep it right there. Our next guest is up right after this short break. This is Dave Vellante for John Furrier and the entire NYSE Wired and CUBE community. This is our Media Week, Cyber and AI Innovators. We'll be right back.